Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the garage for another edition of Andy the Gabby Cabby. I bet you didn't expect to see me this evening, did you? And there's this comment from OAP66 quite rightly says, "Hi, Andy, this is a bit off the cuff, isn't it? But with your workload and what you do, we should not be surprised." Well, I didn't actually intend to come on at all tonight. I've had some work to do. I had my usual appointment with the M25, should we say. I had a bit of a relaxed afternoon, stuck a video out, did just done my usual keep fit this evening, come back, and I thought, sod it, I'm just going to set up a live and come and chew the cud for a little while with you, the audience, the subscribers, and see where it takes us. It's fun to do that every now and again and just make it up as you go along. And we've got 106 watching already. So we'll see where this goes, shall we? Pokey Dude, hello. Good to see you. I hope you are okay. Who else have we got? Yes, lots of hellos. Colchester, huh? Wonderful. I'll be taking a little trip on the 28th of September. And I'll see if I can find it. Without loading it up on the screen. I'll kind of use my phone a little bit for this. I'll be going to Essex, Leigh-on-Sea to be precise. And if I can find the event, if I can find the poster for the event, I shall tell you immediately. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Yeah, anybody that's been following and knows, my support for the English Constitution and everything, there's a seminar going on at the a cafe in Leigh-on-Sea. And I'll tell you what, I can't find the bloody advert for it. But I'll make a point of advertising it a bit more. I'll just keep scrolling for a little while longer because I know the damn thing's on here somewhere. No, can't find it. There's everything else but I'll advertise it a little bit nearer the time. Yeah, on the 28th of September, there's a seminar to do with the English Constitution at a cafe at Leigh-on-Sea. And it's really going to be worthwhile going to it. So I'm going to nip up there and tie it in with a bit of work as well. So it should be pretty cool. Terence, Andy, have you seen the new evidence from Charlie Kirk shooting film of being hit from behind? No, I haven't, Terence. I've seen a lot of, I suppose we'd call it conjecture from different content creators about the angle of it. Was anybody else involved, motive, and various other things? And one of the things that I realised, purely from the firearms experience I've had, which is very minimal, a long time ago, but I have had some, was the size of this looked like the way out rather than the way in. So to me, it was around here somewhere or from back here somewhere. It just, didn't make any sense, but I'm sure the truth will out. Hi, Andy, having a late tea, watching the attack on Mila. Do you mean Mila or Milan? You let me know. I'm having a Pepsi. Not the best thing. Turns your teeth yellow, but there we are. Let's see who else we got in the chat. Blood, you're in the chat. Hello, my friend. Hope you're okay. I think you tagged me in something on YouTube, didn't you? I haven't had a look at that yet. Trump adding $100,000 fee to H-1B visas. Britain should probably follow the leader. Absolutely. If he can do it, why the bloody hell can't we? We had 1,000 of them in and only 3 got kicked out. So what's that about? Something a bit naughty there. It's like, our lot don't want to do anything about it. Hi, Andy. Good night for a gab. Absolutely. Laugh out loud watching from Glasgow. Did you see Barack Obama in Glasgow at the protest? No, I didn't, actually. I didn't. You know, it is time for a gab. I've got a sod all planned. I really haven't. It's just a chat. See what you had to say. We have to be careful not to feed the shill sites attacking Farage and Trump. There's loads of it flying around everywhere, isn't there? At the moment, you get varying degrees of it every day. You know, I form my own opinion on these people based on what I see and hear. But you're right. There is a lot of shill stuff out there, isn't there? Funky 155 Starmers brining in pregnancy tests for whippets and DNA. Could you imagine? That'd be a bit prickly, that subject, wouldn't it? Yeah, we've had that one. Sorry, that's a repeat. I'll have to look into that because there's a lot, isn't there? Chaos in Milan as huge pro-Gaza and Union protests turned right. Okay, cheers, blood. I'll have a look at that link in a little bit. You're all telling me news that I've got to catch up on. Have you seen the video of Andrew Bridgen and Liz Gunn? Really worrying. You need to watch it. Is that on his feed? I'll have a look at the subject live, and we'll see what we got. Andrew Bridgen. There we are. He's got a thing saying the lunatics are taking over the asylum. I think someone else has mentioned that video before. If someone can point me in the direction of it, I'll have a look. It might be worth a shout. They've been smashing up Milan all day. There was somewhere else that kicked off. There was a video I saw. I think it was the Netherlands where they were kicking off as well. It's happening all over the place. Yeah, Keith Brown, you are spot on there, my friend. Look at the Fabian Society members, Starmer, Khan, Miliband, Blair, and so on. Absolutely. And, you know, this is why England is getting ignored. And in turn, they're trying to ignore English law because there's lots of information in English law books that deal with them and exterminate Labour. And, you know, that's why we're being ignored. Andy, I don't know if you see the video on YouTube outside of the migrant hotel of a migrant exposure. Christ. Is that here or was that abroad? You can tell I've been away from the news today, can't you? I heard as well that Black Belt Barrister has done a follow-up on that. You know, the case I covered yesterday with the schoolgirl or the young teenage girl that had her phone pilfered by those two coppers. Apparently, there's a bit more of an update to it. So we'll have to see. LC, I've heard some Brit neocons, quislings, proposing mopping up the H-1Bs being pushed out of the US. A golden business opportunity, they said. Wouldn't bloody surprise me, would it? Wouldn't surprise me. Bob, that was here. Okay. Speaking of Labour, Noel Wilcox sent me something I want to share with you. You know that idiot Jeremy Newmark? Yeah. Welling Hatfield Times. I don't know if you've ever heard of that paper, if anyone is nearby. There he is, right there. Council leader apologises for Operation Razor Colours comments. And this is basically a retake of what I covered previously on the channel, a half-hearted apology and not really going anywhere. Give a like and subscribe if you haven't already, please. Sharing is caring. Andy, I made a petition for the grooming gang inquiry in Scotland. John Swinney said no. Would you sign my petition? I absolutely would, and I will even share it for you. What I'll do, if I can find my banners, if you can send it to that address that's going across the bottom of the screen right now, I'll leave that there for a short amount of time so you can copy it down, and I'll see what I can do. I mean, you know, petitions. I'll see if I can find something, actually. It's very interesting. So, you know, you all understand this. Bill of Rights, 1688. I'm just finding something because people poo-poo petitions. They say they're a waste of bloody time. But there's something you've got to understand. There we go. Right. Let me show you this. Present. Share screen. Yeah, this here is the English Bill of Rights, 1688. And this gives a list of all of your rights, not legal obligations or anything, your rights. And the key one under here is the right to petition. That is the right of the subjects to petition the king, and all commitments and prosecutions for such petitioning are really. So what they're basically saying is you have the right to petition the king or parliament, and any commitments and prosecutions for petitioning are illegal. So they're saying you cannot be persecuted or prosecuted if you want to petition the government to do something. And similarly, if you look at the petition of right, it can't be ignored. It can't be fobbed off. And if Parliament don't listen, then you petition the king. And if the king doesn't listen, then there's only one alternative. And unfortunately, that's where everything seems to be going these days. It's not great. Thank you very much. Appreciated. You are welcome. I'm going to stop that flying across the screen just now, just in case. Somebody's just liked my live on my phone. That's wonderful. Let's get rid of this one. Andy, read this. It's important. Donald Trump has done the biggest ever trade deal with the UK, taking us out of the EU trading regulations, enforcing Brexit. Is that thing with Starmer the other day where there was 250 million quid or whatever it happened to be? I saw the two with them smiling. We have more in common with America than they lead us to believe in the media. Now, I think that's a great deal. Sister Carrera, stick digital ID up where the sun don't shine. Absolutely. Somebody told me that. Hi, Andy and everyone. Hello, Anne-Marie. Hope you're well. Somebody told me when I was talking about this the other day, I said, is there any legal mechanism by which we can deal with this digital ID thing? Stop it in its tracks before it gets anywhere. And I was told that one good thing to research was the fact that it's the job of the government or the job of the state to identify itself. It's not the job of the subject. I found that very intriguing, and I'm trying to find the information. John Clark maybe start with a ladybird book. What is a prime minister, or how one should work? Absolutely. Jilly, I hope so, Andy, as this means mass control and oppression if this goes ahead. I am absolutely, completely against any form of digital ID. I had an email from somebody, I think it was this morning actually, who told me that they went to renew their driving license and the expiry on their driving license was a fraction of what it was previously. And he does wonder, or they do wonder, if that's coming in line with this proposed digital ID. Is there a link, more info on the Trump Ref UK deal? I'm sure there is. We'll have to try and dig that out a bit more, because sometimes they blow these deals up to something they're actually not. It was for quantum computer chips. It's going to cost us a fortune for water, etc. on running costs. Is that what it was? Okay. But what did I just say about them blowing it up? Breaking news, Keir Starmer now under pressure from the hard left Labour backbenchers to recognise Narnia, Hogwarts, Pandora and Gotham City. Absolutely. Speaking of the Labour Party, I want to play a video which I saw the other day. I'll grab it on my phone so it's easy to get hold of. I'll just find it. Bear with me a couple of seconds. It's to do with Diane Abbott. And you know the lie, they're always having a go at us, you know, saying and doing things which could be construed as not good. Listen to Diane Abbott.
Allow the fascists to win. So we cannot allow the fascists to win. We cannot allow Donald Trump to win. We cannot allow Nigel Farage to win. We are going to show them, whether it's verbally, whether it's actually physically contesting with them, we are going to show them that they're not going to win, they can't win, and the British people are better than that. Thank you very much.
For years, smuggling gangs have run illegal.
I'm not British, I'm English. And she said something there. She said, if we're going to verbally tassel with them or physically tassel with them, it was the physically bit that jumped out at me. And it's almost like a threat. You know, this is what we got to put up with. If they can't shut us up, then they resort to language like that. Not only have politicians never delivered, they've gone out of their way to do the exact opposite of what people want. Why are we still voting? You know, I think it's important to still vote because the alternative doesn't bear thinking about. How can I put this? We turn up at the voting booth, and again, this is just my opinion. I think it's preordained or predetermined what's going to happen. I genuinely believe that. That's why we're stuck, or why we've been stuck with the same parties we have all of the time. We've had incidents of bad behaviour, we shall call it, bad actors going on over the years at elections all over the place. And that has to stop at some point. Now, this is what's happening with Graham Moore, the English Constitution Society, where he stood in the Runcorn and Helsby by-election. It was quite obvious that there was silliness going on, and he's taken it to court. One of the basic fundamental rights we have is the right to free and fair elections. That's the foundation of everything else. If you don't have that, everything else is a waste of time. So it's a very important case which can set a very important precedent. And they're absolutely shitting themselves because they've been granted what's called an expedited hearing, which is in October, actually, at the Royal Courts of Justice, depending on the date or dates. I'm going to try and get up there and see what's going on and cover it. But it's all very important. Starmer is proof that lawyers should never hold public office. They believe society can be totally controlled by laws and regulation. The British have laws. The English have rights. Now, I want to emphasize this again because, you know, this is important. It's very well publicized now. So I'm not telling anybody anything out of the ordinary, that we got a big problem with Fabians, right? A very big problem, in fact. Now, I'm going to load this book passage. I'll tell you the amount of screen dumps and thumbnails I got on my laptop, but I found it, right? This is taken out of Halsbury's Laws of England. In addition, civil servants may be subjected to a purge procedure and a positive vetting. The purge procedure is designed to prevent persons with communist or fascist associations being employed on work, the nature of which is vital to the security of the state. Now, Labour, by its very nature, is a communist organisation because the Fabian Society had an awful lot to do with the founding of the Labour Party. This is why English law is being ignored, because if that was enforced, then what would happen? The Labour Party could never be elected ever again. In fact, the way they're going, there probably won't be. But all of them, absolutely out. Ruben, it's Rosh Hashanah tonight, Andy, the Jewish New Year. Did I say that right? Rosh Hashanah. Is that correct? Yet Starmer decides to recognise the terrorist state that still holds Israeli hostages. Shame on him. There are people suffering as we speak. You know what, Ruben? When that announcement was made, I remember in the evening on X seeing a video that was nothing short of horrific. And you can imagine the kind of video I'm referring to. I'm certainly not going to show it on here, but it certainly brought it home to me what they're playing with, or you know, what they're doing to the lives of innocent people. You know, I'll admit I don't know enough about over there, you know, Israel, Palestine, and everything else, to make educated comments about it. I can only react to what I see. And, you know, there's more history than this, but you look at what happened on October the 7th. And I understand why Israel reacted in the way they did, because of, you know, what happened. But, you know, you look at all the other surrounding things that have happened ever since. It's just, it's awful. It really is awful. And for Starmer and other governments that have backed that stance to do this, I can't get my head around it. Before the next election, Reform will be classed as a far-right fascist party and banned from Parliament, like the NF, who had members and was kicked out. The problem is, if they're classed as a fascist party, Terence, where are they getting that from? Is that the English law that I just showed you, or is that some other excuse? Because if it is the English law I just showed you, then the Labour Party have to be declared that as well. You know, there's no two ways about it. There is an awful lot of solution to an awful lot of problems with the Constitution. That's why it's being ignored. Labour's mocking Nigel's immigration plan that they couldn't organise a tea break. Starmer's still stuck on Windows 95. Absolutely. I mean, it's bullshit, isn't it? I think there was about 1,000 in over the weekend, and only 3 were deported. 1,000. What happened to 1 in, 1 out? I mean, that's crap as well. Donald Trump has done the biggest ever trade deal with the UK, taking us out the EU trade and regulations, enforcing Brexit. I think you even said that already earlier, didn't you? Andy just joined chat. Apparently the UK will now have to pay roughly $3 billion to this non-existing Palestine for repatriation costs. Nothing makes sense. UK, Spain, UK removals, Tony and Miranda. It doesn't make sense. You know, I'm going to say something now which might seem controversial. I don't care. Well, of course I care. I'm human at the end of the day, but I don't care about what goes on in other countries until it has an effect on my country, England. And have we interfered so much? I'm not talking about Israel now. I'm not talking about Palestine. I'm talking about everywhere else. Have we interfered so much and for so long? This is something that we can't easily get away from. And if you look at the way this country has changed, the way it's been allowed to change, why is it happening? Why are these protests about everywhere else on our streets? Why have we got the trouble that's being caused? I saw a disgusting thing earlier, made me sick, and it really brought it home. And again, I'll tell you what, I'll bring it up on the computer because it's better than keep pointing the phone at the screen. Give me a minute. I told you this was off the cuff, didn't I? We're just making it up as we go along. Pads. That's what I want. Let's find this. Let's find this. Oh, yeah, here we go. So we say show more. So we'll share this one. You know, when you see videos like this, makes me absolutely sick. A 59-year-old army veteran, 59 years old, with multiple health problems, is living in a tent in wasteland in Grimsby after being denied help from authorities because he moved back here after his wife died and presented himself as homeless. Next Monday, he turns 60. I've left him some supplies, but I can't leave him like this. It's too heartbreaking. I need to get him to a HMO or bedsit ASAP. I've sent messages out, but could with help looking, please. If anyone knows of any accommodation available, please get in touch ASAP. I'm going to retweet that. Let's say that. Can anyone in this area help this veteran, please? You know, it's people like him who's given something to his country and doesn't need a lot in return, a roof over his head, somewhere to keep warm, somewhere to cool his own. And meanwhile, you see everything else going on in the country. You wonder why we feel the way we do about those in positions of power. It's nuts, isn't it? It really is nuts. John Clark, I'm not a Labour supporter, but I feel sorry for my Labour MP. He's doing an incredible job in my area for his constituents. His leadership's going to cost him his job. There are politicians, backbenchers, for want of a better word, on all sides, Labour, Conservative, all sides, that do a fantastic job for the people that elect them. My local MP's crap. Generally ignores everybody, doesn't get involved, and does exactly what Starmer tells her to do. Follows the party whip, in other words. You know, but then you could move to the constituency next door, and it's a completely different picture. It's so different now, so different. Andy the Gabby Cabby, remember the story, The Emperor's New Clothes? That's what this feels like. Yeah, totally. Perfect example. Does anyone remember Tony Benn? Now, I sent a video that Tony Benn actually did. It was really about the state of our laws. It just shows you where somebody on the left is capable of speaking a bit of sense. Just in this instance, I'll play this for you.
Are the British people, when they vote in a general election, to be able to change the policies of the government that has previously been there? And it is already a fact that whatever government is in power, our agricultural policy is now controlled from Brussels. Our trade policy is controlled from Brussels. Our industrial policy is controlled from Brussels. It is a democratic and not a nationalistic argument. Well, I campaigned for the referendum. If you know this, I was in a minority of one on the National Executive and the Shadow Cabinet. In 71, they didn't want a referendum, but in the end we got a referendum after we'd gone in and we lost it. And then I was on the Council of Ministers. And that was the most shattering experience I've ever been in my life, because I was the representative of Britain, and for 6 months I was the president of the Council of Energy Ministers. I wasn't allowed to submit a document. Only the Commission, poor bureaucrats, could submit a document. I could say yes or no, sort of a constitutional monarch, if you like. They controlled it. It met in secret. It made laws for Britain and everywhere else. It met in secret. And when I suggested we met in public, well, they nearly strangled me, because all their dirty little deals would have come out. And so the more I thought about this, and this is what it's about now, it is about democracy. And remember this, I was a member for 51 years. Members of Parliament are lent the powers of their constituents, and they have to return those powers undiminished at the end. It's not for members of Parliament to give away the powers that were lent to them, because they don't belong to members of Parliament. They belong to the electorate. And that is a critical matter. And now I say something else. I mean, we're primarily concerned with Britain, but it terrifies me that Germany didn't allow its own people to have a referendum on whether Germany should enter the European Union and have the treaty. And you know, before the war, Hitler wasn't exactly a Democrat, and that practice of everything being decided at the top has been carried on to that. France had a referendum, defeated it, and now Sarkozy is trying to bypass it. And we live in a continent where increasingly power has gone to a group of people who are not elected, cannot be removed, and don't have to listen to us. I mean, Mandelson's a very powerful man. He wasn't even elected by the House of Commons. Blair appointed him under the royal prerogative. And Mandelson doesn't have to listen to us. With all the defects of our democracy, the reason governments listen to people is because you get your power from the people. I mean, being an MP, you know this, we're in a very unusual position. You're one employee and 60,000 employers. Everyone in your constituency employs you. The bus driver, the street sweeper, the home help, the policeman, they employ you. You can say what you like and always have done, but they can get rid of you. Because they can get rid of you, you have to listen to them. Mandelson doesn't have to listen to anybody. And it is the most bureaucratic, terrifying system in the world. And it's being imposed on us on the grounds it's tidying up. I must say, if tidying up involves tearing up the British Constitution, well, that's an interesting definition of tidying up. And I think this argument is an overwhelming argument. Now, there are other views of Europe. As I say, I don't want to go back to the old nationalism because of the bloodshed that took place. You could have a United States of Europe. You could have a president and a Congress and a House of Representatives. I mean, it would be wholly unwieldy, but you couldn't complain about it. After all, America isn't governed by a commission. Would you want this country governed by commission? You could apply the European Constitution to Britain, and you'd find there were commissioners. And we don't even elect European members of Parliament. Do you realise that? You vote for the party. I can't write to an MEP and say, I won't vote for you again. To write back and say, Tony, you never voted for me in the first place. You voted for the party. And Blair decides who is the candidate. So the thing is absolutely undemocratic. And the effect of it, of course, is to create a lot of hostility to it, which means it won't work anyway. I tell you one thing, even if I believed in it, I think this system will end up with a breakup of the European Union like Yugoslavia. And I do not want that to happen either. I do not want to find we go back to hostility based on blaming the French or blaming the Italians or the Germans, because what's wrong is the system is wrong. And that is what we have to prevent. Now, how do you win the argument? Well, I mean, I listened to all this stuff this week about we've got to participate more. The manifesto is going to be put out to a referendum. Well, manifestos only last for a couple of years. But this decision is far more important than the next Labour manifesto because it decides who governs, by what system.
You see, the funny thing is there, a great deal of what Tony Benn said in that video, I happen to agree with. But I'm not a Labour man. You know, we can agree with the other side. And some of the stuff I come out with, I've been badged far right and as well as the next person. But Tony Benn made a lot of sense in quite a lot of that video. Yeah, he should be forced to listen. And there is other interesting and quite knowledgeable stuff out there. Tony Benn was very good, but always spoke within the British Union bubble. They never speak on English common laws that are just waiting to be exercised. Yeah, that's the problem with all of them, Patrick. They're all very, very much been, is it British-sized? I suppose you could call it. I don't know whether it's through design or just they're totally bloody naive. UK, Spain, UK removals, Lee Foster, pardon me, Sadiq Khan building nothing but buying ready-built properties to have it. HMOs are a big thing, aren't they, with that? Yeah, Tony Benn was a smart man. He talks a lot about Europe, right? Now, I've put this here before. This is the regionalisation of England, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 9 regions there, which they've carved England up into. Never mind the counties and shires, which we're used to. This is regionalisation. They've tried it on with Scotland, they've tried it on with Wales, and by God, they've tried it on with Northern Ireland too. If you look at the legal system in this country, England, not Britain, England, that legal system is shared with Wales. Now, if you look at someone like Graham Moore and look at the backdrop in his live streams, all of the books, they're all law books. They're all English law, every single one of them. And there's a hell of a big monetary value in all those books, volumes upon volumes of stuff. Now, that legal system is across England and Wales. Scotland have their own legal system, which is more of a kind of Romanesque type legal system. Now, if the EU has their way, and this is where this comes from, and we end up dragged back into the EU, kicking and screaming, this is what we'll get. England will be destroyed. Therefore, our system of law will be destroyed. They then overlay an administrative style legal system over everything. That's Europe, Britain, the British Isles, all of us. They can even force a constitution on us we never voted for, we never wanted or never needed. And then it's all over. That's why I'm so against these digital IDs, because once you put that in, it's then another level of accountability that we don't need, we don't want, we don't need. And it's all heading down that slippery path. You look at that video earlier on I did with my memories of the poll tax riots. Yeah, you know, is that where we're going again? Really? It's not good. Arrest the bureaucrats and politicians now. Absolutely, West. You know, people are going to feel like that. Breaking. Britain faces 2 trillion reparation. I saw that in the news earlier. You know, they're just trying to bankrupt us with what they're doing. It's bad. It really is bad. I want to share another bit of law with you, which is very important. Now, I showed you the Bill of Rights earlier, and this one I want to show you now. Let's pull this up on the screen. Let me get the right version of it. There we go. Okay, so this one is the Act of Settlement, 1700. Now, all of these laws, if anybody wants to look them up, they're all on the website. Hello, Mick. Hope you're well. Now, this one, the Bill of Rights, the Act of Settlement, there's a very, very important section in here. If we go all the way down, and a lot of this is in Old English, and you can actually get it translated quite easily. There are tools out there available to get it done. They got a mouse there. There you go. It's this. Now, this single paragraph protects the state from everything that's going on at the moment. That after the said limitation shall take effect as foresaid, no person born out of the kingdoms of England, Scotland, or Ireland, or the dominions thereunto belonging, except made a denizen thereof, born of English parents, should be capable to be of Privy Council, a member of either House of Parliament, or to enjoy any office or place of trust, either civil or military, to have any grants of lands or tenements, etc., etc., etc. So what that basically means is if you're not born of English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish parents, then you can't hold an office of state. You can't be something, you know, that can have an effect on the state. And it was put in place to protect us. That's why it was there. For different reasons back then, but that's why it was there. Now, another piece of legislation I want to show you or another legal paper I want to show you is something called the British Nationality Act, 1948. Now, this British Nationality Act, 1948, was superseded by something called the British Nationality Act, 1981. But large parts of this are included in that later act, or they've just been kept there. They've just been kept there. Now, if we have a look all the way down the bottom, you got a thing called Schedule 4. Let's keep going. Okay, schedules. My eyes go funny. Okay, here we go. Fourth schedule. Now, under here, you've got a list of all of the things that have been repealed. Namely, the Act of Settlement. In Section 3, the words from that after said limitation to entrust for him. Repealed, gotten rid of. So what that means, that whole paragraph in the Act of Settlement, which protects the British state from this outside influence, has been removed, which opens the door for your David Lammies, your Diane Abbotts, and all of the others. And it continues. They know it. Everybody knows it. And yet they do nothing about it. Strange that, isn't it? Not. Just read that Trump could be a candidate for number 10 due to Scottish ancestry. Now, that's a question, isn't it? Give me a 1 if you'd want to see Trump as the Prime Minister. That could be one. Never going to happen, but it'd be an interesting question to post. A 1 if you'd want to see Trump as Prime Minister. Yeah. 1s all across the board. Look at it. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Absolutely. Well, at the end of the day, if he got rid of Starmer, that's all I can say. We used to be in a kingdom run by kings. We were in an empire run by emperors. Now we're a country run by... I'd love to say it. I really would. Somebody retweeted that earlier, actually. Let's see if we can find it. I actually posted that very clip on my Twitter a long time ago. And somebody this evening obviously found it funny.
Bollocks, isn't it? And the country's gone to bollocks, isn't it?
Good old Jeffro. Here we go then.
And the country's gone to bollocks, isn't it? You remember when we had an empire, and then it was led by an emperor. Then we had a kingdom, it was led by a king, and now we got a country.
Yeah, the old ones are the best, aren't they? Bless him. God rest his soul. Jeffro. Wonderful. Oh, Jim Davison could do a great impression of Jeffro, couldn't he? He kind of had it, he did. See what happens when you stand up to the violent extreme left and Islamist bullies trying to get their own way. Ari Palestine, Georgia Maloney will not recognise terrorism, so they riot. Absolutely. That's what's going to happen all over the place. I mean, they've let this damage go on for far too long. When you try and do something about it, they kick off. Hey, want to bring the gold price down or up? Nigel is part of Bullen Unit. Okay. I know he had a thing, didn't he? I can't remember what it was called, but something or other wealth. He was involved in. Love the Lord. The Operation Justice is a good first step public policy-wise. Now, the introduction of the second step. Absolutely. The Act of Settlement still kicking around, making sure the monarchy's rules are older and dustier than Jim Carrey's VHS collection. Has anybody still got VHS? I found a box of mine the other day in the cupboard. I don't know if any of them work still. The people in charge are radical nutters. Absolutely. Yeah. The other thing as well, with this, Grasshopper, you look at the justification they're trying to use for the introduction of digital IDs. You introduce a problem and then field a solution to the problem. Is it a solution, or is it just justification for what they want to do? I'm concerned about the Epping Forest case. I fear that the judge will rule in favour of the hotel and the Home Office, quite possibly. Quite possibly. I think Sarah White, unless anybody knows any different, I haven't spoken to her for a little while. She's due in court in October for hanging that flag up the top of the council offices. I mean, that's a bloody farce, that is. It should be no further action. I know she was on with Paul Thorpe and Richard Inman last night, was it? Something like that. I know history, not so much law, but doesn't ECHR supersede all those acts, making them irrelevant? You see, this is a thing, C-Lad. In the Bill of Rights, there's actually a supremacy clause in the Bill of Rights, which clearly states that English law is supreme to everything. Therefore, the Constitution is supreme to everything. Nothing can override it. Nothing can undo it. Nothing can wipe it out. And any attempt to do so is treason, basically. Now, in the early 1970s, as you know, Edward Heath signed us up to the European Common Market or European Common Trading Area, whatever it happened to be. And all of a sudden, all this knowledge of constitutional law stopped being taught. Nobody knows about it. The current generation of British lawyers we have all been taught a system of law which they're trying to overlay over the whole lot and forget about the Constitution. Therefore, that makes comments like you have there. You know, we have our own system of laws, our own system of rights in this country. I'll see if I can find a video that's worth playing on that subject. Can't remember whether I got rid of it or not. I have so many videos I download over time for different things. Let's have a look in here. I know it's important. Ah, there we go.
In our laws, right, under the common law tell you right of public meeting, right of association, right to protection of the law, the principles of natural justice, freedom from discrimination, right to strike, right to participate in government, whereas we're not because they're cheating at our elections, the right to privacy, social rights. All of these rights are here for everyone to understand, which we can go through. The right to property. You have the right sources of liberties, the right to personal liberty, the right to life. These are all common law. The right to property, again, freedom of expression, freedom of conscience. So you're being denied the right of prayer against our very rights and common law rights.
And that is straight from an English law book. Our rights as given to us, rights. Now, there's one of the things there that he said, was it the right to personal liberty? And it just occurred to me then, could this talk of ID cards be a breach of our right to personal liberty under the Constitution? Makes you wonder. A couple of things here. Susan Garber, a lot of people still think Britain is a country. It's a very valid point. If you take the United Kingdom, people say the United Kingdom is a country. The United Kingdom is not a country. That's what a lot of people fail to understand. The United Kingdom is a unitary state created by virtue of a political union that's, you know, been forced on us. If you introduce international law into the equation, they'll tell you the United Kingdom's a country. It's bullshit. It's not a country at all. Britain is the British Isles, the landmass that my country sits on, England, Scotland, Wales, and then across what, believe it or not, is actually called the St. George's Channel, you will find Ireland, Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland. That is the makeup. And then what they do, they interchange all these different ideas, or all these different things back and forward, try and confuse the different terms. And, you know, I talk about the British Nationality Act. That forced that British nationality on everybody. That's why we have a generation of people go, oh, I'm British. You're not. You're English. You're Scottish. You're Welsh. You're Irish. You're Cornish. And we're all brought together on these lands in what used to be a common law union, you know, a union of friends, we'll call it. But instead, we had this political union forced on us, which we've got to a point in our history. It's doing nobody any bloody good. The whole thing needs a complete rework. Restore Britain, saying the right things more than most. Advance, they want to do right. There are individuals in there that want to do right and recognize that actually there is a lot of solution to the laws of the land. But everyone else, Tories, Labour, Conservative and Unionist Party, it says everything in the name right there, doesn't it? It's no bloody good. Like it or not, folks, reform is part of that, you know. This all started with a push for us to be politically correct. I always said that to people who promoted this ideal, that it would end with our rights and freedoms being taken away. Absolutely. You know, the our local council wanted to introduce a swearing ban. They wanted to fine people £100, I think it was, if you swore in public. So I put myself on video. I stood in the middle of Margate High Street and I shouted bollocks as loud as I could, basically doing that. I never got done. I think the Free Speech Union have got involved since. Advance for me, Reform are a mishmash of Conservative, Labour leftovers. The one thing that I was alarmed was that Fabian that's defected to Reform. They can't have it. I need to get rid of him. The regular political parties are all one and the same. They may have different colours on the logos, but they all dance to the same tune. Yeah, well, the Uni Party, definitely. The Uni Party. Bloodnose. You know, this is common law is American, not British. He makes a very valid point because British, there's only been British, the British nationality, since the British Nationality Act. And you look at some of the early settlers of the United States, they came from England and brought the Constitution with them. They brought common law with them. And, you know, some of the early Americans wanted to live according to that common law. So there's nothing British about it. It was English, and it ended up in America. And then from that was born the American Constitution. You look at the way the states are set up in America, the United States of America, and how they operate. And you have their own system of law. You know, they make up their own laws between the different states. That's how England used to work. Where do you think they got that model from? You know, as I said earlier, we have more in common with our American friends than people think. And there's an awful lot in the Constitution of the United States that we had. In fact, we still have. It's just been masked and hidden by lots of other stuff. Hey, I'm claiming I'm English. Join the club. Me too. Me too. Farage wants to bring... I saw a headline about that earlier. I've not read into it yet, but I'm not impressed. America got common law from England, not Britain. That's right. That's right. Britain, British, had nothing to do with it, despite their protestations to the contrary. Absolutely. No swearing if young children are around. I agree with that. There's no need, really. People do swear too much. I'm a taxi driver. I swear too much. But bollocks was warranted in the middle of Margate High Street. This is what annoys me about every sort of personal information list we have to fill out. Now, when it asks for country of birth, etc., it never gives the option of England. You can only pick UK. Do you know what I do? I bloody well write England and put a tick next to it. Do it. You know, the last census, for the first time, I think it was, England was identified as a nationality on the last census, and a very high percentage identified themselves as English. And there's polls that I've put on my channel, there's polls I put on X. The English speak up. They're there in very high percentages. Very high percentages. Give politicians nothing. Give Muslims, yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, it's our country. And if they do the swearing ban, I would pay with euros, yeah. What you should do is get a big trolley full of them, the lowest denomination possible, and deliver it to the local council offices. I've heard of that thing said before. That's quite funny. 2025 is the same situation as 1789, 1848, 1905. Absolutely. You know, it's a little bit of history repeating, isn't it? That's what they call it all. Where are we? Keep clicking on a comment. It keeps moving. I'm English, not British. I speak English, not British. Correct. Absolutely correct. I put Indigenous, white, British. Jews ain't a race, but sometimes claim to when they get comments or behaviour. Then we're called racist by them. I still find it curious and funny how they try to silence objectors to them. I've always seen them as a religious group, a religion. How I don't understand how race is brought into it. I don't, you know. Natural Women's Council, either ties are all problems, you know, frightening. Okay, I'll have a look at that. I'm a complete mongrel, grandparents from Scotland, England, and Wales. That's an interesting combination, isn't it? What mongrel? That's not a nice description, is it? What does that? What position does that put you in? I mean, I actually came over here with William the Conqueror, or my family did, and our old name is on the Bayeux Tapestry, if you know where to look. And you know, there's literally 1,000 years of us here. And, you know, I'm English, but I can translate I can trace my family back that far. I can trace it back that far. One thing, Mick, there's always hope. If you give up on hope, then it is too late. What's the saying? It ain't over till the fat lady sings. That's the way you got to look at it. But speaking of over, folks, we've had an hour, just chewed the cud for a bit, and I'm going to leave it there, I think. Good to see everybody, and thank you very much for joining me. Nothing in particular, just a bit of everything, and air some of your comments, which is always good. Give a bit of feedback. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new or haven't for whatever reason. Completely free to do. I'll see you tomorrow with more stuff, and until then, I bid you all good night.